Hello and welcome back to another video of mine. This video is supposed to be a three-parter in which I am going to show you various parts of a costume that I made for Halloween. Well, actually, this particular part is not made exclusively for that purpose, but it was the part that made me, well, come up with the costume in the first place. So, what we are looking at is a Kantele, which is a bit of an opposite subject from the last time when we were looking at a headset. Now, instead of listening to the music, we are creating the music, because this is an instrument, a string instrument, simple steel strings here. But now it's a relatively unknown instrument, since it's Finnish. Well, Finnish automatically, yeah, it's that they are less than 1% of the world population, so yeah, that's why I say it's not that well known. In Finland it's relatively well known actually, but well, like I said, only less than 1%. The sound, I really like the sound of it. That's actually the reason why I built it in the first place. The sound is, I suppose it's really fairy tale like. I think that's the best way to describe it. Technically you could say it's something within between the sound of a guitar and a harp. A bit harder than a harp, but a little bit more ring than a guitar to the sound of it. So yeah, I could play a little bit maybe, just to give you an idea. So, that's for the idea. Now, let's get to the actual build of the thing. Now, it is a bit, like I said, the shape of it overall actually is quite close to that of a harp. It's, you get the idea with the bar with all the tuning pegs on it. One bar here, and then a bridge here. So you have a frame that is relatively similar to that of a harp, where we would have something like, let's see, that you're sitting, let's say, on this side and your hands are over this side, and that, well, you get the idea, I guess. So now the main difference, obviously, is that this thing has a soundboard on it, or two actually, since I made it, my variant here has a sound casing, instead of just a board. We have a top board and a lower board attached on it. Now, actually, that's traditionally that is not actually done always. You see, with the very old instruments, the older variants, you see that the lower board is actually missing. So you only have the upper board, and the upper board has no hole in it. So because, well, that's not needed when you do not really have an enclosed space within. So in this case, well, you would have an enclosed space within, so it is actually necessary. Now the tuning pegs are really simple. It's well, let's see from the downside, they're made of simple screws, really plain old flat-headed screws, and on top they are a bit decorated with these little things, little nuts. On top of that, to attach a string, I just have. I really can't get this on the camera, unfortunately. Let's see if I can get this properly. Come on, focus. Yeah, it doesn't want to focus, I'm afraid. Okay. Yeah, well, it's basically it's just the screw, the other end of the screw. I sawed in a little bit, so you have a small gap in there through which the string can be attached to the screw, and then this is mainly just there for decoration, so you don't have any sharp ends on the top. So, as for the construction, main construction itself, left and right on just beneath the board, you see two relatively thick beams on either side of this. These are really thick actually. Let's see if I can get that here. On the back end you can see it is okay, let me Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's how thick it is, really. It's about as thick as, whoops, okay. It's my finger, easily. But I would say about 3 to 4 centimeters in total width that those were. Now I did grind them down a little bit on the sides to make them match with, to make all the boards and the beams match nicely on the side, so I ground it down, so they're not that wide anymore, but still pretty thick. Now on the back part you see this bridge, which is composed of a few pieces of wood which attach directly to this little beam here, and those simply have holes in them that hold the beam in place. And within between on the back side there are a few other pieces of wood which were glued onto each other there, and then the whole assembly here I put down on the main board. Now the rod you see here is actually an aluminium rod, so that's actually not a rod as it would traditionally be used for these instruments. What you often see is that instead of aluminium there's a solid steel rod, whereas this is a hollow aluminium tube instead of that. So it's a bit of a difference there. Now as for the front part, that assembly is composed of a lot of smaller wooden beams which I attached side to side to create this kind of a curve into the wood. So that's really simple, actually, just the curve that was on the wood. I fit those pieces to it, and well, yeah, that's how you get this nice little smooth curve on the back side. Now the space you see on the back here, that actually has no function yet. That isn't on there traditionally. That isn't. It currently it does nothing either. It's just there. It's mainly because I actually had an idea, a little expansion idea. It's not yet there, but yeah, I wanted to make a little attachment there. Maybe later on, when I'm done with that, I can make a little video on that, but right now I'll just leave that be for what it is. Just, yeah, that isn't supposed to be there, actually. Usually not. So, a little on the background of this instrument, where it comes from, what its cultural relations are, and all that kind of thing. So, now first off, this instrument actually has a quite interesting cultural background, as for Finland actually has its own whole mythology that's actually separate from the whole Norse mythology. It's nowhere related actually at all, pretty much like the language. It's a thing totally on its own. So now the possible Finnish watchers here might actually understand what I'm referring to, what bundle of stories I'm referring to. To those who are not from Finland, I've got the book right here. It's the Kalevala. Actually, a rather interesting story, I would say, especially if you take into account that it was actually one of the main inspirations for Tolkien's work and The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, Silmarillion, all that kind of thing. A lot of inspiration was taken from the Kalevala. Actually, the main character from the Kalevala, Väinämöinen, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but Väinämöinen, he is a bard. Well, that's pretty much where the instrument comes in. That's his instrument, his signature instrument. Now, but this person is one of the main inspirations for Gandalf, for example. So that is one of the reasons why I got into the whole mythology in the first place. Altogether, it is a rather well-established instrument in Finnish mythology. So that is a bit of background there. I hope you liked knowing that. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this was built. I hope you might have gotten some inspiration out of it, maybe start a little project of your own. I would love to see that kind of things always. It's always awesome to see other people build things, other people show things they created. I really love that. So I hope you liked it, and well, I hope to see you in the next one. I already said that this is going to be a 3-part video for a costume that I made. Now by now actually I already gave a hint as to what that costume in its whole is actually like. I'm not sure when I'm gonna make the next one, but it will be some time with it, I suppose. At most a month, I'm not sure. I really do this just when I like to do it, so no really set intervals or so. But yeah, I hope to see you in the next one as well. Goodbye.